right, hello and welcome everyone. If this is your first time joining us, a quick note about today's webinar. At Addigy, we eat, sleep, and breathe Apple. That's why we created SudoTalks, a monthly webinar series where Apple experts break down the latest changes impacting IT admins. In every session, our goal is to deliver actionable insights to help you stay ahead in managing Apple devices, managing them effectively, securely, and at scale. Today's session is all about our new application that we've been working on for the past year, Addigy Assist. Addigy Assist helps IT teams deliver a modern, white glove onboarding experience without adding more complexity or overhead. If you're looking to streamline Apple deployments and give end users a smooth branded experience without burning cycles or resources, this session is for you. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. Here's a quick look at what we'll cover today. We'll start by grounding ourselves in the common challenges IT teams and MSPs face with Mac onboardings. Chances are you felt a few of these firsthand. From there, we'll introduce Addigy Assist and walk through how it helps streamline that experience from first setup to end user delivery. We'll also touch on custom branding, installation visibility, and setup tips to help you get the most out of this new feature. And of course, we'll wrap with live Q&A. So as we go, please drop your questions in the Zoom Q&A panel so we don't lose track of them. And speaking of that, I said hello to everyone, but I was not using the right chat. So hi from Chicago. Typos and all. There you go. Quick introductions. I'm Ben Greiner, and I'm joined by Michaela Gilman. We're excited to show you why Addigy Assist is quickly becoming the go-to solution for Mac setups and user onboardings at scale. We built Addigy Assist with a simple goal: to improve the Apple zero-touch setup experience for Mac users while minimizing the manual effort required from IT teams. Michaela, over to you for all the details.
Perfect. Alrighty. If we want to go ahead and continue here. Actually, why don't we just while we're at it, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the screen from now.
Yeah.
That way I can just easily switch when it comes time. And can everyone see my screen?
Yes, full screen, we see it. Yep.
Okay. So, uh, basically, I first want to just go over probably some of the pain points that you feel from a day-to-day basis. If you don't, then you're lucky, I would say. But I would say 99% of admins that I spoke with over the beta process and while we were researching and while we were diving into, what solutions that we should build, there's definitely some common themes that we found. So, first, starting with end users. Overall, end users, would get very frustrated if they couldn't see what was actually happening. And so some of you might be like, well, I don't have this problem today. Well, it's probably because you already do white glove setups. And so you're probably already trying to solve for that said problem. And so many admins I saw do that. And so basically, you also then it adds when you don't have a white glove setup and you have no visibility into the device as an end user, it creates a very confusing and not there's lacking clarity. And then there's also frustration on top of that, additional anxiety, especially if it's your first day. Or even if it's, you've been an employee there and you just need to set up a new device, or for some reason you needed to erase it. Trying to remember all those steps again is very stressful. So, that then goes back.
Yeah, Michaela, I was just going to add when I ran my
Yeah.
MSP, and I think I would like to hear from people in the crowd here. We were very aggressive with zero touch deployments, and you're correct. When the user had a problem, we had to uncover like what did they do? Like what did they how long were they logged in? Did they log in? Are they connected to power? Like there were so many issues that we had to troubleshoot just to understand because the zero touch process was not transparent to either of us really.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely reminds me of the days when I used to be at Apple and the IT shop outside of Apple, and just going in blind and trying to figure out, okay, where are they at? Was definitely an everyday thing. So I have to admit, I'm guilty with the white glove setup as well. I used to push it all the time, but now being on this side, I see a lot of the issues that this can occur or that can occur with the business and the cost that you're putting towards a white glove setup. If you weigh your pros and cons, oftentimes a lot of admins are seeing, and not just admins, companies are seeing that it's not worth the money or that investment. And 9 times out of 10, they can see ways that they can improve it. So even if you can't go full zero touch deployment, how can you try to make it more efficient and scalable? So then when your business is ready to grow, you're already ready for those next steps. So basically going into also other IT admin pain points on the onboarding and Addigy without Addigy Assist, I should say. Um, you have the you don't have a natural way to kind of guide your users, so you're finding other ways of doing so. If that's through KB articles, if that's through the phone, if that's through your RMM, if that's through in person and walking to their office, you name it, I'm sure we've all pretty much have done it. And then with that, we also see increase of support tickets because when you have issues like that, they just start coming in. So then you also have the just pure amount of time and minutes that you are sitting with that end user or with that device, setting up that machine. And even worse, what I've seen is when admins go a step further and they start setting up that machine and they put that temporary user on there and they're setting up that end user's account for them. And while that's great for the end user temporarily, or so they think, it's actually hurting you in the long run. Something that we found while we were again, doing discovery and also working on releasing Addigy Assist and having a beta program is that the admins who had Addigy Assist and who had something in place, if it was another onboarding solution, I know that a lot of us are familiar with DEP Notify or Baseline with Second Sons Consulting, Octory. Swift Dialogue. I know there's tons in the Mac admin community. And so with that, those admins that had a solution like that, their end users actually felt more confident. They felt empowered and they felt like that they could be way more independent, so things went faster. And so obviously that's a case by case basis. You know your end user the best. You know how you should proceed with it. But just saying like big picture, bringing them along the way might not actually be as painful as some of us might think. You don't want your end user waiting but could they actually learn from this process? Could they be self-sufficient? So in a time of need, they would be able to set up the computer or know exactly where to go if anything went wrong in the future. That being said, what is Addigy Assist? What's the point of it? Why should you care? Well, it is a brand new Addigy's brand new in-house Mac OS application that is specifically integrated in with all of our different asset types that we offer. So MDM profiles, Apple apps, smart software, public software, pre-built apps to come. I'm not gonna put any timelines or anything on that, but it allows you to actually determine what you want to show to your end user. You have full control as the admin and the type of experience that you want to provide your end users, but we made it possible so that you can, in less than 20 minutes, set up a user experience like what you're looking at right now. And so then by the time that you are either re-erasing a computer, you're enrolling it via ADE, you're just doing a standard manual enrollment. Maybe if it's from a migration from another MDM provider, you're able to launch this application that will provide context as to what the device is actually doing. Where before your end user would be like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, I don't know am I ready yet? What about now? Can I move on yet? And they would just be sitting there waiting for apps and assets to actually install on the device. So let's go over some of the features that Addigy Assist has, and then we will actually take a way closer look at what these actually are a little later. But from a high level, we do offer the custom branding for your organization, so you can put your stamp on it. And then for MSPs, if you wanted to put your client's stamp on it or your own, you have the ability to. We also have it integrated in with the catalog. So if you want to save and reuse multiple configurations, you can do so. With that, like I was mentioning earlier, we have the admin controlled experience. So that is controlling things like, okay, full screen mode, window mode. Again, I will show you exactly what that looks like a little later. But basically, what I'm trying to convey here is that we try to give you as much flexibility as possible. Because you know your end user so well, we wanted to give you the power to cater that experience towards your end user. Next up, we have transparent installation status. There's not much you actually need to do on your side. You just need to make sure your assets are in a policy with an assist configuration, and we'll take care of the rest. We try to do as much heavy lifting for you as possible. That way, there's no scripting, there's no heavy lifting from your side, and that way you can also set it up for more clients of yours or more policies or more end users. And then we do have automatic prompting too. So in our minds, we're trying to make the perfect setup experience within our control. Obviously, there's things like network loss, power loss, things that are just out of our control. But how can we try to increase that success rate? And so by micro UI enhancements, we're able to do that. And so you will see that we have battery pop-ups. So if your battery's low, we prompt people to plug it in. If you have File Vault turned on, we prompt you to restart the device at the very end. Little things like that. And there's, we're only going to keep adding to it. So it's just going to keep getting better and better from there. So how we keep, handling that end user experience as a whole. I'm not going to say just for Addigy Assist. And then further on to admin visibility and event history. So one of the opportunities that we saw when doing our discovery in the market is that there was a massive opportunity for, how does the admin actually know when things are done on that device? If, you have a remote employee, how would you actually know that that devices went through the onboarding process and that they're at the desktop and they're ready to start using it? How would you know that? So that was one of the things that we took into consideration, and also when things go wrong as well. So if things fail, if for some reason you run out of Apple app licenses, we handle that experience as elegantly as we can with minimal impact, but more importantly, we give you the avenue of automating that process. So if you wanted to do things like create a support ticket automatically, when things go wrong, you have the ability to. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and dive into the end user experience. Here, I'm gonna actually show you like an unboxing video. Now, bear with me. I tried to act like an end user. So I'm sorry if it's a little cringy, but I tried to give it that authentic experience. So what you'll see here is I'm actually just unboxing a brand new Mac. You'll notice that I almost dropped the machine, and I have a little heart attack, uh, trying to pull myself together. And if I really wanted to act like an end user, I should have tossed it to the side. But again, I was trying to be decent because this is a recorded video. And then once we get the device on, you'll see that we start at the very beginning. Just like any other Mac setup. And now we're at that classic hello. So with this, what you'll notice is language screen. We then go into the country. Again, the classic setup, assistant screens, connecting to Wi-Fi. I'm just trying to show you here the bigger picture of what you can kind of expect with automatic device enrollment and Addigy Assist. Because we're going to get, there's definitely a bigger story here that I want to highlight. So typing in that Wi-Fi password here, you're also seeing another feature that we have. It's under the ADE settings in the policy where you can create that end user experience in your own custom branding as well. And then that remote management screen. Now we're actually creating a user, and this is why I want to highlight this, is because Addigy Assist actually appears after the user creation. I'm going to say that one more time, just so everyone hears it. Addigy Assist appears after user creation and once you actually reach the desktop. It's important to highlight that because we intentionally chose that method because it was the most successful method that we saw with end users. And again, we're trying to create the most successful setup, the most seamless experiences we possibly can with little issues. Now, that's not to say that we won't ever support it for pre-login. And here you can actually see the Addigy Assist app launched very quickly after the setup assistant had completed. Honestly, how fast it actually runs all depends upon how, obviously, how many applications and assets and how fast your internet is. And there's so many different variables that determine the speed of it. And then here I'm actually opening up the installation summary of Addigy Assist. And don't worry if you can't see all the details now. We're going to get a really close-up view of Addigy Assist. But as a whole, what we're looking at here is full screen mode. So I'm not actually able to do anything else until Addigy Assist is complete. This is what I like to call the enforcement workflow. There's two kind of classic workflows that have been most common when working with admins on this. I've noticed that some admins like to go the full screen method, which is exactly what you see here. And then some admins like a windowed mode approach, and I'll show you that again a little later. But just keep this in mind as you are trying to determine what works best for you. Are you wanting something, a user experience where you can heavily control it, where you can't keep the user moving forward? Or do you want one that's where they're free to do what they want, but you just want them to be aware? So that's something that you should be asking yourself as we're kind of going through this. Perfect.
Michaela, I'm going to launch our first poll. I don't know if I mentioned we're going to have some polls. So anytime I see the little icon on the screen, right there, that reminds me to launch a poll. So the first one is, have you used Addigy Assist? I just want to see our current audience, how many people have used it. And I'm going to try to get to, got quite a few people here. I want at least 60% participation before I close the poll. Thanks.
Yeah, don't make me cry now.
We already have it. We just reached 60%. All right. We're going for a 70.
Alrighty. Oh, wow. Yeah, you guys are pretty fast at that. Okay. I don't have a
Yeah, you can
Okay,
just continue. I'll go ahead and end the poll here in just a minute.
awesome. So, when you are actually going through and setting up Addigy Assist for the first time, I want to highlight a couple different things here. So, there is a recommended test method. I do highlight that in the KB article. And we'll give you the link to all of our resources and everything towards the end. But just know that when you're initially first setting up, I don't recommend setting up in a policy with all of your end users and you're just testing and building the plane as you're flying it, as they say. I don't recommend that. I definitely want you to be able to feel the end user experience first. So I do recommend creating a test policy with your test device. I do recommend a physical device if you can. Otherwise, a virtual one works just fine. Um, for manual enrollment, or I guess, yeah. Um, and then from there, when you are thinking about the setup, I want you to think about it in three different steps. Step one, and if you're familiar with self-service, this is very similar. Step one is creating the configuration. Step two is assigning that configuration to a policy. And step three is determining what assets are actually going to show up. Oops. So here, I just wrote out all the steps. And if you want to screenshot it now, I'll wait a second. Again, we have a KB article that goes over this whole thing, so don't feel obligated to. And we have a video that with a QR code where you can watch it over and over again as much as you like. And we'll also be there for you if you want to implement this. But so I'm gonna walk through at least the first step, and then I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen for the other two steps. But overall, so first you need to start an Addigy. I know that's probably a shocker to everyone. Make sure you're logged in. That's step one. And then step two is actually going to the catalog. There we go. So it's going to the catalog and then the end user app section, and specifically the Addigy Assist for Mac tab. Here you'll notice if you already have Addigy Assist configuration set up, you'll see them here. If you don't, it'll be empty. You'll click new, and then that's where that configuration will appear. And it will look something like this. So at the top, we have a couple things that are required, but I'm going to actually quickly run through each of the settings and why they matter. So number one is the name. We need something to identify it by, and it does need to be unique. So that's step one. The next one is the description, totally optional. Typically, I recommend anything that, especially if you have multiple admins, any context that you feel like they should have later on, I recommend putting that here. Now, with the we do have enrollment flows. And so basically what that means is that you can limit where Addigy Assist actually shows up. Do you want it to only show up for ADE devices? Do you want it to only show up for manually enrolled devices? Or do you want it to show up for both? The reason why we implemented this was so that you don't have to restructure your policies. So if you have all of your devices going into a single policy, if you wanted a specific workflow only for ADE devices or manual enrollment, you have that flexibility. We're not trying to dictate how how you go about organizing all your policies. So we tried to minimize the impact there. Then with that, we have a grace period right below. So what you'll notice is that there is a 1 by default, and that's actually what we recommend. And so what that is it is 1 day grace period. And what that looks at is it's actually a condition for the Addigy Assist app in order to actually be able to launch the app. So as the application is determining, okay, can I launch to the end user, yes or no? This is one of the fields it looks at. It looks at two different things, depending upon what type of enrollment you went through. It could look at the brand new enrollment into Addigy, the registration, that registration date, or it could look at your user home folder creation date. And so basically what this field is right here is it's saying how many days from either of those dates, again, depending upon what workflow you go. So if it's like ADE, you're going to need that new registration, and you're also going to need, if you're also migrating, you're also going to need the new user home folder. And I'll explain why you need both. But overall, with that, the reason why we would recommend 1 is because we don't
Excuse
want,
me, Michaela. There's been a question about where's the grace period on the
oh,
screen.
let's see. Hey, Ben, do you mind closing that poll? I don't know if it's still up.
No, I was about to launch the next one, but I think
Okay.
you just
No,
close
all
that window.
good. Let me see if I can close it here. I think that's why there was
Behind the drop down, somebody said. I don't know if that.
yeah, here. There. No, we'll go up to the top one. There you go. So
Okay, yeah.
right here, there's that grace period. Right here is that 1. So with that 1, again, the reason why we implemented this was so that you don't accidentally put this in a policy with a bunch of already enrolled devices into Addigy, and it all of a sudden all starts showing up. So it's really a fail safe for you, just in case you were to accidentally put the Addigy Assist configuration, or if a new admin were to, that is why we default to 1. We made it as flexible as possible. You could put however many days you want in there. So if you wanted today to launch Addigy Assist on all applications in your environment, you could. We're not going to stop you. There's several different ways that you can launch Addigy Assist, and we tried to make it as flexible as possible, but we also tried to add those fail safes. Next up, we have that windowed and full screen mode. So let me go ahead and
And Michaela, I am going to launch the next poll because I said I was
yeah.
going to. So I'm a little behind. And this is what's your primary use case for Addigy Assist? Um, Even if you haven't used it yet, I prefer you just respond how you intend to use it. New devices out of the box, repurposing or erasing existing devices, or both equally. We're just trying to get an idea of where everyone envisions this going. Okay, thanks, Michaela.
No, that was it's cool to see these responses coming in. So here you're looking at full screen mode. What you'll notice is that there's no dock, there's no menu bar, there's no access to anything except for Addigy Assist. This was what I was bringing up earlier with the enforcement workflow, where if you want to control exactly, where the end user is going, we do have this exit app option here. And so basically what that allows is, do you want to set an exit code to enforce them to stay in the application until it's done? You don't have to. They could click this and a pop-up's going to appear and we're going to say, are you sure? They say yes, then they can leave. If you wanted to put a passcode and enforce this workflow that they can't move anywhere, well, then, they're waiting through all of the different applications that you decided, what actually needs to be installed first, before they can move on.
Yeah, I just ended that second poll, and it looks like over 63% are plan to use both use cases
Oh,
equally.
yeah.
But overwhelmingly, mostly, 20% new device setups versus repurposing. I think repurposing is often forgotten, but it definitely is a valuable use case, so it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Awesome. And then here we do have windowed mode. Uh, you'll notice a lot is different with this one. So you can actually see the desktop. You can actually see the dock. You can see the time. You can see the Apple logo where you can continue to use things. So this is a more influential path. If you wanted to take it with Addigy Assist, you could. If you just want to suggest like, hey, here is this. If, bring awareness as to what's going on. If they want to close the application, they still can. But you also can set an exit code at this mode as well. So if you want to allow them still, to be able to at least start setting up the device and also the not be able to leave the application until it's done, you could do that. Again, we try to give you as much flexibility as possible. Here, I did want to highlight when your battery is sufficiently charged, this is what it looks like in sufficiently charged. I mean 20% and above. We follow Apple's standards with the charging guidelines. Here we do have the completion page. This is also another optional piece. So if you decide to check the completion screen, you have the ability to display this installation summary. Your other option is to silently quit the app, where it will just close, nothing will pop up, and your end user will notice that Addigy Assist is no longer appearing. The Addigy Assist application is not stored in the application folder of the device, just to note. So they won't be able to find it via Spotlight. And they won't be able to, you can launch it via like a script, and we'll give that to you on an upcoming slide. I know that that's probably my the most asked question by far I've received is, can you manually launch it? So that's why I'm trying to nip it in the butt now. But overall, I would say the your end users shouldn't stumble across it if it's actually in the application or Addigy folder within an assist folder. So it's hidden within the
Kayla,
library.
did I see dark mode pop up for a second? That,
Yeah, I think the
or did I was
yeah.
multitasking. I might have missed
No,
your
that's
mention of it,
yeah, I realized that the dark mode wasn't showing up, which is my bad on that. But
but it does support dark mode.
it does actually
Okay.
support dark mode, so it will follow whatever the end user actually selects. So as you're going through the setup screen, or they can always or what they are already on, especially if it's like for manual enrollment, it will just follow the same guidelines.
Oh, very good.
So for branding options, we offer the company name. We offer a 4,000 character message. Your end user is probably not going to read that, but by all means, you can test that theory out. A phone number, an email, and also what you'll notice, because a lot of you gave us feedback with self-service on this, we went ahead and implemented a light mode and a dark mode. And here's actually what that looks like. So you can see the company logo that you would set. The is at the top. You'll see your company name right below the welcome. And then you will also see a custom message under the need help button. You can, once the end user actually clicks on that, then they will be able to see the phone number or email. You don't need both. They are technically both optional. So it's up to you as to how you want to proceed with that. And while we're looking at the app, I wanted to highlight that there are two different types of indicators on here. In fact, obviously there's actually a lot more, but I'm just going to go over the two general types. So one is the asset installation status. So that's for the individual asset. And basically what Addigy Assist is doing is it's monitoring, checking in with Addigy. It's seeing if that asset is yet installed, where are we at with it? Okay, what can I actually show to the end user? And so the one at the bottom, though, is a combined progress bar. So if you have 10 assets on there and it's only one has completed, it's going to show 1/10 of the way. So overall, that's just a general progress bar. In the very corner, you'll notice just like a loading symbol. That's just to convey to the end user that the application is not frozen. Pretty standard practice for end user apps. Here, let's go ahead and actually dive into so we almost have everything done. I'm just going to quickly run over everything that we highlighted. So the different enrollment types, AD or manual or both. The grace period, that's the fail safe to prevent you from being able to deploy it out to all devices unless you want to. It's up to you. The full screen mode, that is where you don't have access to the dock. The windowed mode, you do have access to the dock and you can continue to use the machine. Completion screen. This is if you want that nice installation summary. And then the skip, it's going to close out silently, and your end user, if they were already using the machine or if they come back, like they step away and they come back, they will just see the desktop or whatever screen they left off at, especially if it's manual enrollment. The restart after complete. This is something I didn't have showing, but it does count down from 60 seconds. Again, that's a standard Apple practice. We're trying to make it feel as familiar as possible. It will basically do a countdown once Addigy Assist has fully completed and it has reached the end. It will prompt the user saying, "Hey, we need to restart your device. I'm going to now go ahead and count down, or you can go ahead and restart it now." And they have the option to do so regardless. In 60 seconds, it's getting restarted. And people have been loving that, especially if you have FileVault. So highly recommend to check this one out if, again, you have FileVault. Or if you have other types of workflows that require a restart. And then here is the exit code. Fully optional. You can do up to 20 characters with that. You could do text like alphanumeric, whatever you want. No sort of requirements there. So now that you have the configuration done, I know it sounded like a lot, but as I have been sitting with admins, hearing their feedback, Typically, it takes them no more than, I would say 10 minutes to set that up once you know what those settings are. So that's why I took the time to explain those. Now, I'm going to go ahead and actually dive into Addigy, and I'm going to show you step 2, which is actually assigning it to a policy. Let me go ahead and get out. Stop sharing for a second, just so I can switch.
Thanks for everyone those who are putting questions in the Q&A box. Not only will that help us answer them, but also do any follow-ups afterward. We'll also try to go through the chat. It's just sometimes it's very easy to lose things in the chat.
Yes. Thank you. Also, it keeps my attention span like in one place. So, alrighty. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we see Addigy.
Awesome. So here, we are obviously in my Michaela's manufacturing policy. I'm gonna actually just go to the overview here. The steps I highlighted earlier, when going to the catalog and the assist portion here, the one thing I did want to note before moving forward is that you do not have the ability to assign from the catalog. And we were very intentional with that. And the reason why is because technically you're only 1/3 of the way set up. Or I should say 2/3, because if you were to assign it, that would be the second portion, 2 out of 3. But you're not done yet in order to finish setting up that assist workflow. So that is why we did remove that option. I know it's pretty standard in other areas. So for the folks who are admin users or strong Addigy users, I just didn't want you to be shocked if you came across that. Now, actually going into the policy, here is what an already set up Addigy Assist configuration looks like. I can see the configuration actually assigned here. I'm going to go ahead and actually just remove it just for demo purposes. And here's what it looks like without an assist configuration. Very different. So if you wanted to now complete step 2, you have your configuration complete. That was step 1. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click assign, and then I'm going to pick the configuration that I want. I'm here in Utah, so I'm going to pick the Utah manufacturing one. And now I can go ahead and see that configuration. If I want to view the preview, all I have to do is just click on the blue text here. If you want to go ahead and change it, you can do so here and switch those configurations out. Now, that's step 2. That's all it was. How quick and easy was that? This next part is also very quick and easy as long as you already have assets assigned to a policy, or you know what you want to assign to a policy. So for step 3, for setting up Addigy Assist is actually this portion right here where it's assets shown. This portion shows all the asset types that we do support today. So smart software, public software library, Apple apps, and MDM profiles. Here is a little different than what you'll notice though, than other areas of our platform where if I were to go into self-service, smart software, you'll see a whole lot more right here. Where if I were to go back to assist, I actually only have 1. The reason why is Addigy Assist is not determining what actually gets applied to the device. It is simply just determining whether you want to show it or hide it. So we gave you one area to view, okay, do I want to hide it? And I can tell that this is hidden right now. And by default, they are hidden. Every single time you add something new to a policy, it's hidden. But let's say I want to show this one. I want to show Adobe After Effects. All you do is you check the box and then you click this show/hide in order to initiate an action. And then you determine which one you want. So do you want to show it or do you want to hide it? In this case, I want to show. And now you saw that that changed green and I see showing. And it is the same for all different asset types. So you can see some of my Apple apps are hidden and some of them are showing. And so yeah, that's all there is to actually setting up Addigy Assist. So it is, like I said, normally less than 20 minutes. And just remember to set it up in a separate test policy.
Yeah, Michaela, I just want to add that we talked about this. I think that feature is super powerful because if you're an IT team and maybe a client only does an onboarding or a new Mac setup once or twice a year, and things have changed, you probably want to go in there before they unbox or before you erase that Mac and just see what's going to happen with Addigy Assist. And that gives the team much more confidence in communicating to the customer, and it also allows you to make any changes that maybe happened since the last time you did any new Mac setup for that customer. So I love that feature. And could you just briefly, for those who maybe don't know, explain why you decided to not show everything that happens?
Yeah, so initially when we were going through the beta process, folks were, and it, so I'm going to clarify myself also at the end. Uh, take this with a grain of salt as it's coming out of my mouth. Folks were getting very confused when determining, okay, what am I at? Like, is Addigy Assist actually, deploying these things? I already have them in my policy, so where does this fit in? And so we wanted Addigy Assist to naturally fit into Addigy as a whole. We didn't want to create more work for you. So we try to handle everything through the application icons that you give us through smart software and the through Apple Apps token and everything that you already had applied. There's a lot that we can pull from it in order to actually show that end user. And so, in order to reduce confusion, as of right now, we decided to only show what is actually already applied to the policy. I'm saying it that way because there is a chance always in the future that our design could change depending upon, later feedback or depending upon future changes that could occur.
Yeah, I mean, just showing everything would be overwhelming and confusing. And really, you probably just want to show those things that you know are going to delay the setup a little bit. Like if they're expecting to launch Creative Cloud or even Office, immediately, you probably want to slow them down and show them the status bar, right? As opposed to just let them go in and start looking for it. They don't find it, or they find it and it doesn't work because it's not fully installed yet. So, weird things like that can happen.
Yeah. Yep.
We only have 9 minutes left, so I don't know if we need to speed it up a little bit or not. But I'm going to go ahead and launch one more poll. We've got a couple more, but this one is, what features would you most like to see added to future iterations of Addigy Assist? And I know somebody in chat, think it was Sam mentioned, adding a link, not just an email address, but a link to the description. I was going to ask, are you can't use HTML or hyperlinks in the description, can you? No. Okay. But I think that looks like that would be a great idea, just below email, adding a link to a support page. That would be awesome. Um, okay, but
Yeah.
everyone's filling out the poll. I'll let them do that.
Yeah, and one thing I want to clarify here, just because Addigy Assist, has a certain workflow today, doesn't mean it won't ever change or there's not other new features coming out with it. We are focusing a lot more time on just as a whole on the end user experience. It's something, we are putting a lot of effort towards. So there's absolutely things that you could see enhancements and changes in the future. Obviously, I'm not going to promise any sort of deadlines or anything like that. But just know any feedback that you do have. If you, after this call, you think of something in the help center, you can always go to that product feedback button. You can always tell your CSM as well, or you can always email it to product@Addigy.
Okay, we got 52% of our participants responding to that poll. I need 60% to close it. Come on, come on, tap the button.
I guess as we are going through that, I'm just going to quickly run through this. That way we can start answering some questions. So overall, the things I wanted to highlight is the long-term maintenance of Addigy Assist. We tried to, again, make it as easy as possible. This was one downside that we saw, or one opportunity we saw in the market, is just how much time it takes scripting and learning these tools and getting making sure that you test them properly with every single change that you make. And did you break it? Like, again, it's a whole process. So basically, we try to make it as easy and as seamless as possible. So when you remove an asset from a policy, it will automatically be removed. The preview option will automatically be removed from Addigy Assist. So you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to go to a second location and worry about removing it there. We cover that for you. If you add a new asset, any type of asset, and you assign it to the policy, by default, they're hidden. So if you do want it showing, you do have to go in there and show that asset. So essentially, that's your long-term maintenance, is just determining if you want to show or hide it. And then in order for Addigy Assist to appear, it does need to meet Addigy's system requirements. This is default for all of our end user applications and pretty much all of our software as a whole. We follow the same exact guidelines with our system requirements. And then assist configuration does need to actually be applied. And like I was mentioning earlier, that's a grace period and the enrollment workflow, if it's ADE or manual or both, the device has to fit within those guidelines. So with those four, two of which are pretty standard, is their configuration and system requirements. And then on the other side are very conditional and saying like, okay, is it actually, is that home folder newly created? Is it not? And is it within the period that you set? So yeah, there's definitely half is in your control with that. The other half is obviously up to us. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out about it.
I was going to add, because I mentioned automated device enrollment, zero touch, awesome workflow when you add Addigy Assist. But Addigy Assist does not require ADE, correct? Does not
No, it does
require.
not.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the most common workflows that we saw was actually being able to, let's say, you had the device already enrolled in Addigy, and for some reason, that employee leaves. You put it on the shelf for a while. It's still in Addigy. It's just not being used. If you wanted to just do a standard erase and create like a new user, you have the ability to do that, and Addigy Assist will launch on that device. That's probably one of the most common workflows we were seeing. And then the other thing I wanted to quickly highlight is actually our new device facts that came out with this. So once Addigy Assist has ran on the device, there is a timestamp, there is a general status, and there's also the username that actually ran through that process. That way you know exactly who, what time, and then, what was the result. That way, if you wanted to use webhooks or a no-code, low-code workflow with your ticketing provider, you could automate this process. If you also wanted to set up like a maintenance item or monitoring item, you could also do it from these device facts. And here we do have a video where I go step by step, just like I did, almost a little slower, but at least you can replay it over and over again. So if you want to go ahead and scan that now, so you have it sooner than later. But we do have this link in the we will be sending it out and all these resources after this webinar. Alrighty, FAQs.
Yeah, and I have one more poll. Would you like help optimizing Addigy Assist? And actually, I think somebody just asked that question in the chat, so please respond appropriately, and we'll do a follow-up with everyone who responds. And while that's running, we got a couple more minutes. Are there a couple more slides? Were you going to go through FAQs, or do we need to? We run out
Yeah,
of time.
so I can highlight the two most common. I already kind of highlighted one earlier that I uh would get all the time. So one is, can you manually launch Addigy Assist? And the answer is yes, you can. We do have a script that you can launch the native application with. I'm going to actually copy it now. I'm going to paste it in the chat. Again, we have it in multiple places. If you ask it in the Mac admins group, there's like 6 different people who will answer you there and will provide it. I think like Simon, Mike, all of you guys, thank you for always helping out with Addigy Assist in Mac admins.
Yeah, so I
Um,
ended that poll. Thanks for everyone who responded. We do have some Q&A we'll stay over for. I want to ask one more question before we go to Q&A while people are still here, and that is Kaseya Connect. It's a little off topic, but we're trying to find out. We're going to be at Kaseya Connect, and we want to find out if any of our customers will be there so we can, get together. So if you're going to be there, please let us know. And if you haven't decided yet, which it looks like some are still contemplating, if you do decide, reach out to us. Okay, sorry for that hijacked message there.
I'm so
Let's
hurt.
uh, I'll just thank everyone for joining us
Oh,
and for all the great questions, but I do think we'll stay and answer questions. Can you stay, Michaela?
mhm.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Um, and the poll, people are still responding to the poll, so I'll let that run. And I saw we answered a ton of questions, so maybe we review some of those, or if anyone who was helping, Selena and Bryce, if it's easier for you to chime in and repeat some of the questions we got. I don't know what's best.
Looks like we have some open ones here. I'm just scanning through them.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to get to all of them, but if we can definitely follow up afterward.
Oh, I have a good one here. Pedro asked, and Pedro actually was a part of our early access beta. He's actually one who helped influence how it's built today, a lot. So this is an amazing question. If the computer is formatted without our knowledge, and reinstall, will Addigy Assist rerun and install the apps again? And the answer is yes, it will. Early on in the beta, it did not do this. And so if you were testing very early, highly recommend testing again. It is way more flexible now. But we do account for both workflows. That's why it looks at both the user home folder creation date and also the registration date.
Okay, that's great. You want to pick the next one or
Yeah, I'm looking through the next
okay.
one. Wow, there's so many.
I know there was an earlier question about does it work with SSO, and I just want to clarify that our SSO integrations, and there are several, are totally separate from Addigy Assist. They obviously can work together in a workflow or not. So it's totally up to you. And for those who didn't see, we do have a new article I shared in the chat. I'll find it again and post it again about platform SSO with Microsoft. because I know there's been a lot of questions about that. So we have an official document of how to do that.
Yeah, and just to address something I saw in the comments, the lowest that you can set for the grace period is actually 1. So, yep, we force you. That's the minimum you can do. Okay, let's see. Addigy Assist appears after user creation. Does that mean that any items that are normally installed during the first ADE screen are delayed slash deferred until post login? So no, actually, it's going to still proceed to apply to the device just like how the policy has in the past. We're not touching that. However, what we are doing is by the time Addigy Assist appears and the user is ready to go, then we check, we make sure, okay, is the user signed in? Okay, we can launch. And we also check to make sure we haven't launched before, so then that way it's not constantly happening. And then we start validating, are these items actually already installed? We perform a check first to see if those assets are already installed. If they're not, we then will check with our API to see if it's already working on installing, and then we'll keep checking in through those methods. I'm generally speaking for there's obviously different processes depending upon the different asset type, but generally speaking, that's how that works. And then the next step after that is we then validate to make sure it's in the right place on the device with the appropriate version. And then from there, we will then mark it installed and then give it that green check mark. For those of you who did test version 1, you might have noticed a false positive issue. That issue is fixed, but what was occurring there is that we weren't performing that first check all the time of, hey, are these assets actually already installed on the device? Because we were seeing quite a few folks, especially with manually enrolled devices, already have some software actually installed. I am also glad that that bug is fixed. Thanks, Porter. And then it looks like how does Addigy Assist function with Addigy Identity, especially when the user creation automated via ADE. It's taken direct to the identity login when the enrollment is complete. Regardless of your identity experience, we are constantly checking to see if you are actually fully signed in and authenticated. If you are still at the login window, even with Addigy Identity, even with Platform SSO, especially with Platform SSO, regardless as to what authentication route that you go, like there's the 3 different types, regardless as to which route you go with it, you have to be signed in. And so there's no conflicts between the two that we've seen in our testing. If you're testing and you see anything else outside that, please submit a ticket. That way we can know about it ASAP.
I see a couple questions that I think I can knock out because we just talked about them. Does this work with Okta? Well, yes, we integrate with Okta through SSO and Okta workflows. So you can certainly use that in your workflow in addition to Addigy Assist, although they are completely separate and there's no cross pollination or integration at that level, correct? Yeah, okay. And does Addigy Assist allow for a corporate Apple ID to be used? Yes, if you're using I still want to say managed Apple IDs, but they're managed Apple accounts. Is that right? Managed Apple accounts. If you're using them, those will work just as they are expected to work. And again, at the first launch, Addigy Assist at the first login, Addigy Assist will launch. So yes, it will work with corporate Apple IDs.
Yeah, and then it looks like we on the roadmap, any hope for Assist to be able to pull in a list of catalog items that are assigned to a policy via flex policy, auto assignment. Can we make those visible to users as well? So if you're saying multiple flex policies for one configuration, um, I would definitely love to chat more. I'm obviously always open to talking to anyone about a feature. If you are talking about does Addigy Assist today support flex policies? I know this could kind of be a weird question for some, but again, early access in the beta, we did not allow flex policy. Well, it would have to be, we had a strong requirement of needing to set the location policy ID. We did end up removing that requirement before we actually released Addigy Assist. So just to clear the air, we do officially support flex policies, but it does need to all be within that one policy. If you're talking about multiple and kind of doing like a more global or more like group assignment, then yeah, definitely open to chatting more. See, well, because some policies send into for silicon apps and device, so being able to add some of those variable apps would be sweet. Okay. Yeah, like from what I noticed, a lot of folks have different setups, so that's why I'm open especially like your account teams, if that's, you know, your CSN or your account managers, they also can kind of help identify that of like, okay, what does your existing setup look like? And then what do we recommend in that case? So yeah, any one of us can kind of to jump in and give those recommendations. See, I think a lot of people think Assist is more involved doing the work of installing things behind the scenes, but I like to think of it as an overlay of information on the screen. Once you look at it in that light, you can understand it's not changing anything with the actual software, installing policies, identity, etc. Yep, Mike, you said it perfectly. It is simply adding a UI to our policy for the first time. We do have some unique workflows that people are implementing now, where people are wanting it to basically if a user is going through a setup or a repurposed device, people are manually launching Addigy Assist. So basically, once you launch it in the policy, it will then live in the device. It doesn't necessarily mean it's actually going to launch to the end user, though. But the reason why we have to have it there is to support some of those workflows of, you know, repurposing that device and eventually shared users.
Yeah, I want to thank Mike again for mentioning that because that is some confusion. Addigy Assist is really just a communication layer to show your end user what's happening. And I remember we would often have people call us and say, "Hey, I'm looking for that software that you said you were going to install." And it turns out it was installed. It just wasn't in the dock, right? So they never looked in the application folder. They never searched for it. They only wanted to see it in the dock. And maybe there are reasons why we were told not to put it in the dock. Who knows? The point being, this is probably not going to solve those issues where, you know, if they're not paying attention to what's being installed, they may still miss it, but it gives you a better chance. It's much more clear, it's much more transparent, and it's certainly something that I would be using in all of my setups because it's just going to help you get to a 100% smoother setup. You have a better chance of getting there. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah, Mike's agreeing with me on that. Yeah, still a
Awesome.
thing. Okay, Michaela, we have 15 open questions in the Q&A. Do you think you can rattle through those or
Honestly, I think a lot of these, some of them are repeats where it's like, okay, does it work with flex policies? Um, let's see.
oh wait, I didn't hit all the done buttons either, so I'm gonna
Oh, okay.
hit that. couple times.
And honestly, a lot of these, like if there's certain, so let's see, for the completion screen installation summary, is there a report that goes somewhere to track any issues? So that's where you can actually use your if you're talking about from the admin side, to know like, okay, for how do I know proactively if an end user has run into this problem? Basically what you could do is you could use the uh, if you wanted to automatically create a ticket, you could go that route, or using the webhooks. You can also create a ticket from there using our events. If you're just staying in the platform only, you can take a look at that event history and you can also create alerts off of it. That way you're not like, needing to be glued to every single device. You can proactively see what's going on there. And then same thing with those three general device facts. So you have the general status. Some people will create tickets or they will create alerts off of that general status. So if it's failed, I need to know immediately. If it's the timestamp one, people have actually created really advanced workflows off of that timestamp. So basically, once that timestamp appears, then they know that they can trigger another workflow if you want to do Swift Dialog, if you want to do Octary, if you want to do DP Notify. You could do any one of those. And because I know, just to highlight here, Addigy Assist does not support input fields today. If that is something you are looking for, please email product@Addigy. I'd love to talk with you. But overall, if you are looking for input fields, you can still use those third-party tools mixed with Addigy Assist. It'll just make it a lot faster for you.
Michaela, I see a couple questions about flex policies. Does Addigy work with flex policies? Addigy Assist.
So yes, it works with the flex policy. However, I'm going to add a caveat to that. If you're saying across multiple flex policies and showing all of those assets and it's pulling from like 5 or 6, no. If it's pulling for anything more than one, no. Basically, we are pulling a configuration and a asset from a single policy. So this is where I definitely recommend, chatting with one of us, and then we can take a look at your setup and seeing, okay,
Yeah.
what would we first off recommend? And then if there's feature requests that we need to take down from that, we can kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, flex policies will still work. They just won't display if they're overly complex or have more than one reference, it sounds like. So yes, if you need help readjusting or optimizing your onboarding, especially now that we've introduced Addigy Assist, let us know. We will take the rest of those questions and follow up with you. And this is fantastic because now we can build a more robust FAQ section for Addigy Assist. I want to thank everyone again for joining us today and for all the great questions. We hope this session gave you a clear look at how Addigy Assist can simplify onboarding, reduce IT overhead, and help deliver a more polished Apple experience from day one. We'll be sending out a follow-up with the recording and additional resources, so keep an eye on your inbox. And as always, if you have feedback, ideas, or want help getting started, our team is here to support you. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you at the next SudoTalks.
Thank you, everyone.